Hello and welcome back. My name is Ranbir Puar. If it's your first time joining me, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here on YouTube or you're maybe listening on my podcast, Living Light Radio. If you're new to me, I have been a life strategies coach since 2009. I'm a TEDx speaker, an author, but most importantly, I'm a mom of two incredible boys that I'm raising on the West Coast of Canada with my husband. I'm so excited to have a special guest with me here today, Aeryon Ashlie. I met Erin at the West Coast Women's Show. We were both speaking on a panel, I believe, and we hit it off. We tend to come together as kindred spirits, and we can find each other in crowds. And I feel like that's what happened here. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Erin to you, and I'd love for her to tell us a little bit about herself.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I always love talking with you. I think, as we talked about 2 seconds before, you and I could probably talk for hours.
Yes, for sure.
But so my name is Aeryon Ashlie, and I'm the founder and owner of Erin Wellness. We are a female-focused supplement company out here in beautiful British Columbia as well. And our motto is to empower women with holistic health. That's really my mission statement with this brand. I'm a registered holistic nutritional counselor and eating disorder recovery coach. I've been a trainer for a number of years. And I've also been working in the supplement industry as an account manager across Canada with a variety of different companies. So that's kind of that's who I am, I guess.
Yeah.
And can't forget that most important job to date. I have a 12-year-old daughter as well.
Yeah.
So.
And what's incredible, and the reason I feel so drawn to you and your story and your brand is how authentic it is. That you have a level of authenticity that I feel the rest of the world can be inspired by, because everything that you talk about and do is consistent with a certain mission and a vision you have in mind for creating something that actually serves women at all levels and women with all different stories. And you have a story, a life story that has led you to come to this point where I get goosebumps thinking about it, where it's brought you to this point of creating this brand and this wellness company. But can you tell us a little bit about what you went through to get here?
Yeah, I mean, I was so being born to my dad was a bodybuilder. My mom was a figure skating coach, my amateur bodybuilder, so not like he was in mag. So athletics and aesthetics were really focused on in my household growing up. And also too, my mom's mom was very on her all the time for weight, right? Because that was a lot of
Yes.
what your worth was what this was doing.
Right.
So now looking in hindsight, I understand my overeating was really a cry for pay attention to me, because that's when I got attention, right? Stop eating
Right.
so much, not seconds, only, really monitoring my food. So that I would overeat. So at 12, I was quite heavy. I remember I was homeschooled for a number of years too before that, because I was teased so much. And then my mom kind of started me on my first diet, I guess you could say, at 12, and bring me smoothies to school. So I drink those at lunch instead. But then I'd go home after school and eat everything I get my hands on.
Right.
At 13, my parents put me into Weight Watchers. And, I think about that now. My daughter's 12, and I know my mom, she's gone on to become a guidance counselor, and she's obviously, mortified by some of the choices she's made.
Yeah.
But, and she also worked with me. I have a #1 book on Amazon called Believe Me to Balance, and we did that together. And so that was a really cathartic healing experience for us
Right.
to express how I felt in those moments. But as I sat in that Weight Watchers meeting, I realized I was too much and not enough all the same time,
Right.
right? And that really then led to 14 years old. I met a kid in school whose sister was bulimic. And when I heard that, and he basically said she was losing weight and they were sending her to, therapy or off to a clinic. And all I heard was she gets to eat whatever she wants and she loses weight. And I'm like,
Wow.
this is it. This is the winning ticket, right? Which is obviously too one of the reasons why in schools they don't talk a lot. They don't want kids to get this idea that if they do this, it's going to be a good thing, right?
Right.
Mama talked to me about that, but nonetheless, that's when I really started believing. I went home that day, tried it for the first time, and it became really a 25-year battle for me. And
Wow.
in my 20s, I then started doing fitness competitions, and it kind of became like my glorified eating disorder. So it was the only time I didn't binge and purge, but I was so strict and over exercising, and there was such regimentation that when that show would end, I'd fall back into bulimia back
Yeah.
again, and I'd gain all the weight back.
Yeah.
Because the thing with bulimia is that it's hard to tell because you're not super skinny usually, right? Maybe in the beginning I lost weight, but it's almost like a race. You're racing because your calories are starting to get absorbed. So you're trying to eat as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And you're just never full. That was the other thing too. So I competed for 13 years, probably 4 or 5 times a year, just trying to get under control, because that's the only time I felt I had control, was when I was competing.
Right.
And then I had my kind of aha moment. And I show this in when I do webinars for the brand, I show, my stage picture, and then like 4 months later. And it's like shocking when people sit there, they're like, oh my God, that's like 4 months later. And I say, you might never have struggled with bulimia, or you might never have competed, but what we can, I think, all really resonate with is this on again, off again relationship with food in our body.
Yeah.
Right. We're either on it and we're doing good, or we are off,
Yeah.
And I kind of had my aha moment about 10 years ago. And like many others who are dieting or trying to start a nutrition plan, mine would be like, okay, I'm not going to throw up today. Monday, I'm going to stop. My birthday, I'm going to stop. Christmas, New Year's, like it was all, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get a control on this. And yet again, I had binged, I got triggered. I went upstairs to purge. And what's different this time is there was a knock at the door, and it was my daughter. And she was about 3 at the time. And I think as parents, we understand, we kind of give our privacy keys away when we become parents.
Yes,
and
for sure.
Locked out. Like, this is the first time she's locked out of the bathroom. Like, what's going on? Because I'd always been really careful to not binge and purge when she was around, or, I always really watch myself.
Right.
See me doing this. Right. But as I rose up and I just kind of caught my reflection in the mirror, I just really had this overwhelming sense of, this is going to be her. If I don't get this is going to be her. She's going to watch my patterns. She's going to see my disordered relationship with food. And at the moment, I kind of went, I have to get a hold on this. Like, and I've been a trainer for years. I was a coach. I was worked with people for nutrition, and here I am. I think that's a lot of the time is I'll fix it, but I'm not fixed. I haven't worked on myself yet with this.
Yeah.
So that's when I really began my journey back to health and wellness. I began to pick everything apart and think of how do you have sustainable health and wellness? And what I knew is, if I think about my relationships with my trainer, my clients that would come back and get training from me, was they'd come in for a wedding, we'd lose weight, and then they'd disappear, and then they'd come back. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's not just training, and it's just not just a nutrition plan, and it's not just supplements. And I began to realize I really had to work a lot with cognitive behavioral therapy, thoughts, feelings, actions or non-actions, which I know, and also to the support network I had around me. So that's when I became really apparent that is, the friends I keep, the thoughts I think, the food I eat, daily movement, and then supplementation. And I began to work on getting all those things aligned. And then once those were aligned, then I started looking at supplementation I could take. And that's when I found there was a real lack. There was kind of a space and a void that I felt that was needed in the industry. And I've been in the industry for a number of years. And there was only one other female who has done, so well with her brand, who was out there kind of working with women. And so she sold her brand to a much, much bigger company. And I was like, hey, I think there's an opportunity here for me to step in.
Absolutely.
And the universe aligned. I got packaged out. And then that's kind of where Aeryon Wellness came to be.
It's fascinating.
It's from that whole thing. And so, but that's where the whole thing about empowering women with holistic health is, I don't want to, it's not just a supplement. And I always struggled with that too, right? Because we'd be at these shows speaking, I would really struggle with this idea of, you buy this, everything's going to be amazing. And that's not true. Yeah. Right. So
it's not true. Well, what the interesting thing about food is when I have clients coming in, coaching clients coming in that are, when they're talking about, I want to achieve this and I want to do this and whatever, I always go back to the basic. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I go back to the basics. What are you eating? How are you eating? How are you sleeping? And what's that sort of primal? Food is a primal need. And it's, for me, the focus is the self-image, how you speak to yourself when you're alone with your thoughts, and your relationship with food has a great impact on your self-image, because it's the base foundation of everything. And, I know you agree with this, because I think I've heard you mention it on Instagram, but for me, it's coming back to the non-judgment in and around food, not judging the food, because the brain does change its chemical reaction when you are judging the food that you're eating and going through the process. And I also really think it's fantastic because, we all have different opportunities in our lives when we become parents. For me, I remember when Isaac was born thinking, I can't let the storms that brew inside of me land on this kid.
Mm.
Because I looked at him and I thought I could make him as messed up as I am, with the different things that I have going on, or I have to stop. And so there are a lot of parents that listen to the podcast and watch the YouTube. What would you say? And we're going to get back to the holistic wellness and to the supplements in a minute, but for the because of course, it's a big concern for females and daughters, but it's really becoming a big concern for males and boys as well. What sort of things, what advice would you give to parents and what sort of signs to look for, having gone through and lived that experience yourself? What advice would you give to somebody?
I think that the biggest thing is to be really aware, like, you know, what your, not only your thoughts about your body and about food, right, as you just said, but your language and even your physical, like standing in front of a mirror, if your child, like, and sometimes we don't know they're even watching, but standing in a mirror and being like, like just that, then they see there's a disdain you have with looking at yourself,
Yes.
right? There's a self-judgment there. And that's one thing I can say I never, ever, ever have done is, Michaela, I never stand there and be like, oh, I feel so fat today. Like that is
Right.
never come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I might have been thinking it years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and now that's, I mean, completely, that's not even something I think anymore.
Yeah.
I can look and be like, oh, you know what? I probably did, because I don't weigh myself, but I can put my pants on and be like, maybe I ate a little too much. Maybe I should start, I need to move my body a little more.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had too much bread, or because I know how my body works,
Yeah.
but there's never a, oh my God, like a disdain. And a lot of my friends, and I don't know if a lot of men experience this, but a lot of my women friends I know will speak negatively about their body,
100%.
right? Just like, oh, I feel so fat today, or my arms are this or that, and I can never lose weight. And I truly have always believed that if we are going to go sit and eat a meal and we are feeling guilt and shame, I believe, your cortisol levels are going to go up, your body's
Yeah.
going to react to processing that food. And it's also because you feel like you don't deserve it. You're going to be like, screw it, I'm going to eat more. So then that's land of restriction.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is to really be mindful of your thoughts and your actions and your words around your children, right?
Yeah.
And even your critique of others.
The critique of others is a big.
You're watching a show, you see somebody in a, weird outfit. And Michaela will call me sometimes because I'll be like, somebody, like, I'll see an outfit that's just like, wow, I go, she's owning that one. She's like, Mom, that's not nice. I'm like, I'm just purely saying she's owning her outfit. Be aware of it too.
Yeah.
She's like, nice. I'm like, I am being nice. Just saying, there's a lot of colors going on there,
A lot of colors. Well, and it is, I agree. Like it is all of that. It's the thoughts, and what we often forget, what you pointed out so wisely, is that most communication is nonverbal. So you don't have to say a lot, but you standing in the mirror and the way your body is talking, your child is listening to that and watching that. And for parents of boys, I mean, a lot of what boys often hear is, you're too skinny. And you need to bulk up, and you need this and you need that. So this is can go both sides. Are struggling, and dads can be mindful.
Yeah. And support them in the same way, where
Yes.
dads are, do things to physically move their bodies, encourage their sons to do it with them. And it's not because you need to look a certain way.
No.
The other thing too, I mean, I never thought I'd be in this point with relationship with food and my body as I am now. Like I never thought this possible. So I know it, you can do it, but I think with being just hyper aware of how we're representing food, body, exercise to our children at all costs. It's, oh, I have to go to the gym today. I hate going to the gym. Even that, right? Instead of, I get to move my body today. Like,
Right.
oh my God, all my cells work. Like,
Yeah.
one cell goes off and things aren't going to go well. So thank you so much. And that's looking at more of an appreciation for the fact that's my way of saying thanks to the universe and thanks to God or whatever it is for you. I get healthy and move my body. And so Michaela knows that too. I hate the gym. It's always like, I got to move my body. And so she has a different relationship with exercise because of that.
Yeah.
So she gives her a better relationship with her body and what exercise does for her body and why she wants to move her body.
For
right?
sure. And people that have tuned in to me know that exercise is your biggest cure for mental health. Emotion. And the most of the word of emotion is motion. So as soon as you start moving, you don't have to schedule something at the gym. And Erin and I were just talking about this before we started the interview. We talked for an hour because we couldn't even hit record. We're just going. But one of the most interesting things is that, in different cultures and in different experiences, you don't have to necessarily go to the gym. So you can show your children and talk about health and movement in different ways. And also, one of the most interesting things I've observed is that quite often there's language around cooking dinner and making lunches, and we've been programmed through marketing that it's a burden for us as women or parents. And so one of the things I've found myself doing is actually trying to let go of that programming, that I'm doing other people a favor by cooking the meal. And that's sort of where it changed for me, where I thought I get to cook a meal for myself and they're going to enjoy it too. And that sort of shifted a bit for me. So if that helps anybody.
No, I
Um,
like that too. Yeah, and I mean, Michaela, with food, that's the other thing, Jody, being a parent, trying to keep it interesting. That can be
oh, the
challenging.
hardest part about cooking dinner is deciding what to make.
I know it really is. So I think that's, and we have a lot of conversations about food. So she really does understand. And I think
Yeah,
that's the thing too, is educating them on, what food does for your body. I mean, I had no idea till I was in my 20s. Oh,
right.
protein build muscle. Oh, okay. Carbohydrates are and Michaela knows this. She knows carbohydrates give you fuel, but it's
Yeah,
important too much because you know what I mean? Like, you obviously don't want to have too much of anything, but you don't want to have too much. You really want to find that balance between
yeah,
things.
yeah.
But it's all these other different reactions that happen within your body. But having conversations where we're educating them. So when you're making food, what is this? Is this a protein or a fat or a carbohydrate? What do you think it is? Yeah,
Perfect. Engaging them.
right. And then they learn more, right? They're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a fat because this is gonna, and then what's it gonna do for my body? It's gonna help my joints, it's gonna help my brain health, it's gonna help my hair, it's gonna, so it really is then you're not only cooking together, but you're able to really kind of teach them what these foods are and what they're doing for their body, right?
Yeah, and a lot of those calories feed the brain, so it's really important to break all that down. You know what I find really interesting about how you communicate, is that you don't try to push a cookie cutter approach to anything. And that I absolutely love that. And you talk about intuitive fasting and different things, because for us, intuitive eating is a big thing at our house. Pay attention to how the food feels on your body, because it's going to feel differently for each individual. And that leads into your company and how you do things and how differently you do things. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, when I first started the brand, I really struggled because I came from this idea of, this holistic wellness. So I really struggled with the concept of, take a pill, everything's fine, right? And I knew I wanted to give so much more. And originally on my website, and even now, right, when you buy on the website, you'll get a downloadable menu planner. So every
Right.
single product had a menu planner. Because I was like, okay, well, at least I can give a menu planner. I'll give them some support, right?
Yeah.
And when I launched my metabolism support product this past year, and I struggled with that one because I come from a dieting world, but I also have the question continuously with women, how do I need to drop a little bit of weight, or I'm perimenopausal, I'm carrying weight here, and
Yeah.
my body's not the same anymore, which of course is natural. And so I had this great product and I wanted to launch it, but at the same time, I'm like, how can I launch a product that I'm like, I can't say buy this and you're going to lose weight, because I know it's so much more than that. And so I
It
almost
is.
felt hypocritical. So I almost had this inner turmoil going on with launching this product. And I was like, oh, I have the meal planners. So maybe I'll upload workouts and I can upload all this stuff onto my website and do it that way. So at least I'm giving them more stuff. And then I was driving. I was driving. I just remember I was behind the wheel, and all of a sudden it was like the heavens opened up and it went like QR codes. Use a QR code. And I was like, yes, QR codes. So then I was just going to do it with Lose It. So on Lose It, I started stickering, like Reclaim, we have a little sticker on the top. I started
Yeah.
stickering the top of all my stuff. I'd go into stores and start stickering them.
Yeah.
They all had this. And so what I did for Lose It is I have workouts in there. I have mindful eating strategies. And then I also have 2 meal planners, vegan and non-vegan. And there's also a 30 to 60-second video talking about what's in the product, so you can educate the consumer. And then as I began thinking, I'm like, I'm going to do this on every single product. This is going to be, and that's when all of a sudden I had this like, that's how I'm going to empower women with holistic health.
Yes.
Because even I've said to my stores, if somebody comes in and they want to lose weight, let them scan the program. Don't
Yeah.
sell them. Tell them to go try the program, go move your body, go start eating better, go start being, and then if you want, you can come back and buy the product. If you really want,
Perfect.
you can. But at the same time, what I'm able to give everybody is every single product has all these different support strategies that they can use towards finding that sustainable health and wellness, which is really my goal. Like for snooze, we have 8 magnesium rich recipes and then tips
Yeah.
and strategies, right? To
Yeah. Yeah.
get yourself into that rested state. Restore, which is our stress support part. We have daily affirmations in there, plus meal planners. So every single one has meal planners, but I'm able to add, and that can, as I said to you before when we were chatting, I can expand on this and keep adding. So as I grow and learn, and I worked with another registered holistic nutritionist on this, looking at, oh God, that's a really good idea. I'm going to throw this in there too and give people that. I can just kind of keep expanding on this and giving more and more information. And the idea that when somebody buys this, they walk out of the store, they're not leaving going, what did that retailer say to me about this?
Yes, because that's what you forget.
Right here, I've got this scannable thing. And then additionally, I've been in this space for years. The products are in about 300 stores right now. And I'm watching my retailer friends 6 feet apart with masks, trying to tell a customer what's in this product. And I'm not working all day in a store, but it is, and I'm sure you've experienced talking with a mask on constantly is exhausting.
Yeah.
It is so
It's exhausting. And you get a sore throat and
it's exhausting. And so I'm like, this will also help my my retailer friends, where they can say, hey, consumer, you take a listen to this. I'm going to go loop around, help some of it. I'll come back.
yeah, for sure. Such an incredible service.
Staff can listen to it too and kind of get the gist of the product. So we are the first ones to do it in Canada, which is kind of cool. And in the next, you'll see them kind of roll out, because I had just done, because I run my labels in one swoop, and I just done 5,000 of each. So I basically threw out 30,000 labels to redo it with all the QR codes. So that was a little bit of a hit, but I knew that I wanted to have the QR codes on there as soon as possible to be able to, add benefits to people. So yes, I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, and what you're really doing is building community, building the village. We are all so isolated and lonely. And the way you and I grew up is so different than the way the kids and how we're raising our kids and without, because it was always the neighborhood, the cousins, the family, and all of that is starting to, there's so much separation. And being able to connect with a human, explaining what this product can do for you and how you can use it, allows you to feel a little bit more connection and community is building. So from all of your life's experiences and the challenges you've faced, you are paying it forward in such an incredible way by lifting people up, and especially women. It's just
I'm
incredible.
really excited. We have 4 new on the way. And it's also another thing I've done with the brand since we started was there's a portion of every bottle that's donated to the Downtown East Side Women's Shelter. I've been doing that for years. We just did our quarterly donation this first quarter, which is the biggest one to date that I've ever done, which was really cool.
So great.
And I have my mom works at the Calgary Women's Shelter, and I had some real troubled times in my teen life. And had there not been these kind of grassroots organizations, I know I wouldn't be talking to anybody today.
Yeah.
And my mom still works with, as I said, the Calgary one. And so one day I was like, what I'd really love to do, and this is kind of something kind of my dream in the end, is in the next 10 years, if I could build something that she's a reader, she's an avid reader and a guidance counselor, been a teacher. And so I was like, that would be something to me, would be like the cream on the cake, if I could have something donated in her name that, commemorates her, and then also commemorates the brand and what the mission is behind this brand. Right. And having it, to help women with great products that work for them and support them on their journey, to help retailers with products they can get behind and make good margin too. All very particular on MAP. I want my retailers to make money because they're my friends, they're feeding their families. And I know they're going through a lot of struggles right now, especially brick and mortar to online. That's really important. So they all make their points that they need to make, stay open. That's important. And then also being able to then take some of that and then be able to help women that are in need as well. So it really does answer, or at least for me, fill my heart with every aspect of what I want to do with this business, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what's unique about entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur I know is willing to risk it all to fill that heart, to fill the dream, fulfill the dream. And it's a different type of personality. It's a risk taker, but it's a creator,
I'm
right?
I'm an action doer and a creator. And, but it's, yeah, somebody said to me the other day that, they're like, it must be really hard. It must be really scary. It was really scary in the beginning. I remember I almost had a full blown anxiety breakdown.
Yeah.
Ange had to come over and help me actually, but because I was just all of a sudden realized I was taking everything I got packaged out from another company and taking everything from my 12 years of that package,
Yeah.
that money, and putting it into something. I'm like, what if it doesn't work? But I also knew that if I didn't do it, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. So it was like, I'm just going to have to like go with it and listen to that, when you get still and listen to that good orderly direction, that GOD, that's what I love calling that gut instinct. And I know when you do that, it just does this. And that's what it's been doing for me. The doors are opening, right? As long as technology and listening and operating trying to operate with integrity and operate with my best self, right?
The cool thing is that voice speaks in whispers. So if you listen and you're quiet, you can hear it.
If you don't listen, then it's like, I went to see Oprah years ago and she's like, it's like, and you're like, ow. You're like, you ow.
Yeah.
And you know it. You're like on your feet and you've got like a full blown slap because you weren't listening. And you're like, okay, all right, I'll do something.
Yeah. I always joke that it's a whisper, then it's a knock on the door. And then if you don't answer the door gets knocked down. And if you don't, that's not enough, your whole house comes down. Starting again. The last thing I want to talk a little bit about is, there's a lot of different individuals, male or female dads or moms or not parents at all, that are raising children, but would like to have a business or explore their sort of creativity or entrepreneurship. And you do it all. Like you have done it all and do it all. And so first of all, how do you manage, like, what are your secrets?
I have been, to be honest with you, I'm in a very unique situation. I've been in the supplement industry for almost 13 years. And when I worked for Body Plus, I worked for PBL first, then Body Plus. I was blessed enough to work for a company where I was given really strong relationships. Norm was an excellent owner. And we used to have these trips with all our retailers. We'd go on these weeks and I would like just suck it up and spend all my time with all these retailers from all over Canada. So I had this opportunity to create friendships and relationships. And that's really what I've been able to call on in the sense of getting the brand in stores.
Yeah.
But when I was packaged out, I took a role as a kind of like a broker or salesperson for another company in the supplement industry. And this company was fine with me starting my own brand and working aligned with them. So I've been able to do sales for them and then slowly grow my brand at the same time. So not many people have that opportunity, really. Like it's a very unique opportunity because some people have even said, aren't you guys in conflict? Or, but my sales and the increase of sales they're getting outweigh any worry they would have about me selling at the same time. So that's been a very unique situation.
But a lot of people are, they have a full-time job and are trying something. So it's not,
don't get that up, so they don't have that. So it's going to so it's not like I'm working full time for another company that's out this arena. I'm still in this arena. So I'm able to, I'm kind of blessed in that situation. I'm able to do that. But I think also too, I work on weekends because I can't be sitting, fully working on my own brand. I have to honor the fact that this that I'm getting from them is really essentially driving my life right now.
Yeah.
So, but it's working on the weekend. It's, working at night. It's really looking at any opportunity I can possibly have. And then there's so many great organizations for entrepreneurs that we can look at and resources we can pull, especially now, right? I used to go at FWE, had these morning 8:00 a.m. meetings you could go to, and you could sit there and they'd have an expert come in and talk. And it might obviously we're not going anywhere right now.
Yeah.
I would show up every one they had. And I didn't have my business yet, but I'd show up, take notes, so I was always very curious about trying to push myself to the next level. Even though I wasn't where I wanted to be yet, but I was constantly looking ways and opportunities or people I could talk to or somebody who could mentor me. Mentorship is a really big thing as well.
But I think that's a big deal because it's the humility that you have. That it plays such a big role because you are always, you're a constant learner. And you're willing to if somebody is, you're celebrating the success of other people by asking them to, and listening to them and asking questions and being able to balance that all with being a mom. And I think if anyone is listening to the story of you, Erin, they could see that all things are possible with the right vision and the right sort of desire, I think.
And I've been given, I mean,
Discipline.
and the discipline, right? That it really is. I mean, I do the same thing. I'm very regimented and I operate
Yeah.
very well with a plan. But I think this was my dream. It's so funny. One day I will pull up all my prototype labels that I've had. I have spent so much money over the past probably 10 years, because even when I was working for that other company, I had this dream.
Yeah.
So I was done different names, registered different businesses. I have trademarks for different companies that I'm not ever going to use.
Yeah.
Bella Therapeutics originally was my middle name. Bella Therapeutics was the name of the company.
Yeah.
That's got scratched. So I've been, it's just funny to think how, but you just got to kind of keep chipping, I think.
And it's but you're not afraid to fail. You're not afraid to, there's a big lesson in that, and saying, Buddhists will say, nothing is permanent. Joy or pain, they're all, transitory. And so being able to adjust on the go as you have is something that's incredible. And that's a gift you'll give your daughter.
Yeah. I mean, I one thing I know I'm still trying to work on is my reaction. I can react fairly fiercely at times. So I really have to. Last weekend I had a moment where I was like, nah! I have to, okay. I don't email or anything like that. So I don't freak out, but I'll freak out, to my mom.
Yeah.
But I still have to my reaction. And that's something I'm still working on too. When I have stuff that happens or stuff that makes me not, that I'm not happy with, or I have one of those, downward days that goes like this, because I still have them.
Yeah, we all have those. That's normal. That's never supposed to end.
And that's where you can appreciate these moments, is when you have those moments, right?
Yeah, for sure. And how does this all impact your daughter when she watches you working as hard as you do? Because I think that's what people forget, and I hear it all the time. They think, well, how did you get all that done? And because I work hard. And I'm working weekends or early mornings or late nights too. Like, it's not something you just plop on a vision board and it just happens. You literally have to work.
Yeah, constantly. I think with Michaela, she's been coming to trade shows with me. I have a picture of her at her 6-month old. When I was working for that old company, I had her in a onesie that said Body Plus, and we had this trade show specials on her back. I walked her through the trade show floor. So she's been coming. She's just been so enmeshed in the business with me. She does a lot of lives with me. She gets paid every month. I met with my accountant the other day, my bookkeeper. We have our quarterly meetings, and she said, Erin, I have to tell you, Michaela's invoices with her little cartoon unicorn from Michaela Enterprises makes my fucking day. I was like, she invoices me. She's like, my invoice for $250. Like, she knows, like, she makes money.
So great.
She makes money, and she's saving $100 every month that goes towards her car. She wants a car when she turns 16.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Herself accordingly, right? So I think with her, she's been able to watch me do what I do, and she knows how hard I work. She's very aware of it, but in it too, she's been brought into the company as well, working with the company. She knows that everything I do is going to affect our life together.
Yeah.
And live and what we're going to do, and we dream together and have our, kind of what we want to spend time on together. And she's very understanding. I have a thing on the back of the door, and she had done it years ago when she was learning sentence fragments. And so it says, my mom works hard. My mom works hard for us. And that's a really cool moment to have her, because I think she was even like 6 or something. She was little, but to her recognize that, like, it wasn't like I have a cat, I have a, it was works hard. And I know she works hard for us. So she understands that with hard work, things happen. And when we first launched the brand at the wellness show 2 years ago, 2019, I had my booth set up. I had ordered my booth in, and she was there working the show with me. And she walked in, and it was so sweet. She looked at me and she's like, "You did it, Mom.
Oh,
Did it." And it gets me teary-eyed. She was like, "I'm so proud of you. You did it." And I was like, "I did." And I only had 2 products. And I was like, "Oh dear God, make this sell." What if nobody likes it? But what she saw, like, I did it. I put a plan in place, and she knows I have, a million lists every day of stuff I need to do. But she, if you just bit by bit, right?
And I think that's really important, because in today's world, one of the biggest disservices I see people doing is they underestimate the power of their children's discipline and grit, because grit is your number one determinant, or if I made up that word, I don't even know if it's a word, it'll determine your success in life, but it's your grit. It's not how much money you have in your trust fund. It's not how much, how intelligent you are. It's how hard will you work. And I feel that kids, I think, we underestimate them because they really have the ability to work, and we're trying to make a life perfect for them, to take away any sort of experiences that create resistance. But resistance is what builds muscle.
100%.
So I think she's so lucky to have that and witness that, because that'll help her in big ways.
So she's pretty great. She's pretty grounded for the most part. It's been interesting this year with even school, and we're thinking of maybe relocating and renting this and kind of having an adventure and seeing about moving somewhere else. And so that's been a different conversation. And I kind of said to her, I think it's good to shake things up a bit. I put her so her field hockey that she goes to is actually on the other side of the city. So
Yeah.
4 hours every week to go there. But I want her to, she's been in the one field hockey club here since she was like 4 or 5. So she knows every social hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, let's go, let's put you over there.
Yeah.
And if we end up moving there, she'll meet more kids. But I thought, how you now have to adjust to making all new friends, which you haven't had to do in a while. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really cool, because I sometimes listen to my husband talking to the boys and reminding them that this little group that you're with is so much smaller than the size of the world. Right. So think outside of the small, small group.
Even, I think at that age, and I remember too, Michaela's like, I'm going to be, she does have her best friend, Melody, who she's probably going to know forever because we were pregnant at the same time. So we know each other, but the group of friends she has, the girls, because I've talked about maybe relocating, going to different school for her for high school. And she's like, they're my friends, which is understandable. I said, but Michaela, I said, I can promise you something. I go, literally, I talked to one girl, Regan, we've been friends forever. That's the only person I talked to from junior high school.
Right. No, for sure.
Even if they walked up to me and talked, I'd be like, who are you?
You don't remember them. We moved a lot. We moved a lot when I was a kid. We moved a lot. I've changed a lot of schools. And, for me, it just helps your confidence, because you get to figure out who you are every time you change and move. So
you are, because that's what life is too, right? We're constantly recreating who we are every day and who we want to face in the world. And that's even with the brand, right? I want to create my brand, so I'm recreating that. And so for herself to be kind of put into different situations, she has to recreate who she is, and she gets that. So
again, back to that grit and flexibility, right? It's amazing. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed having a chance to chat with you today. For anyone that's been listening and would like to know more about Erin, the links to her company, her Instagram, and where you can connect with her are going to be below the video, or if you're listening on the podcast, it's going to be in the description. So I'll make it easy for you to connect with her. Her products are phenomenal. I buy them myself. From the retailers. I don't hit Erin up. So, cause I do believe in them so much that I purchase them. And, again, if you have an opportunity to support, a local brand, a small brand, an entrepreneurial, female owned and led brand, please do so, because during these times, the small companies are the ones that need you the most. And like I always say, if you enjoy listening to this video or podcast, try to share it with your friends and family, because I'm a little small business trying to make a big difference in the world. But it goes a really long way. Erin, if you were to leave the listeners with, a couple of words of inspiration or advice, what would it be? What would you say?
Oh, I guess, geez, that's a good question.
Sorry.
It's a really good question. I think it's that you really can. I think the thing with right now with our climate, we see people who have had great success, and it seems like it's just such an overnight thing. And even for Michaela, it's great for her to kind of watch me do these little kind of daily lists to get to where I want to go. And I think it's, if there's something you want to do, then take a little tiny action every day. So whether it's, if you want to eat better, so take one small action there. You want to do movement, one small action. whatever it is if you're trying to find wellness, then one
Yeah.
time action every day, and you slowly increase those as the weeks go on. But if it's something like a business or something you'd like to do that your heart's calling you to do, then just do that one small thing a day, whether it's read an article about that, about what you were interested in, right? Find a mentor, ask
Yeah.
somebody. And I think that's the big thing, because we can get so scared of what your idea is because it looks so big
Yeah.
that we're scared to take the little step. But it's just what all I've done in the past 3 years, 4 years, 5 years probably, is take little tiny steps every
Yeah.
single day. And now they're just growing and growing and growing, right? And that's what I continue to do, is little tiny steps every single day.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I tell something similar. My plan is always work for the day.
Yeah.
Don't, if you want to achieve something, just plan what you want to do in regards to that thing tomorrow. So if you want to eat well, just plan what you're going to eat tomorrow. Don't try to plan the whole week because that seems daunting sometimes. Or if you want to, and that's the same idea, small little steps, micro adjustments, micro decisions that for today, for lunch, I'm going to have a salad with chicken, or I'm going to have rice and chicken or something, like something small, or I'm going to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Something small, and
Yeah.
take steps, and then the small steps will eventually become, the direction in which, and they become easier and easier and easier. It's like a muscle, right?
Exactly. And it's like, I think you can Google it, just do the domino thing where the small domino knocks over the big domino in the end.
Yeah, you're
Right.
right.
I think there's a video on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I love talking to you too. So again, if you like listening to this podcast and video, please don't forget to share it with your friends and family. It will help us small business owners, female-led business owners, entrepreneurs here, spread the word about what Erin's doing, because it's pretty phenomenal. So please don't forget to share. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.